All right, guys. So day 10 with Gypsy. Gypsy's been coming along really, really well. Haven't had any trouble out of her so far. We're working towards a ride. Maybe we can get a ride today. Kind of hoping that we can. If Gypsy says no, then that's fine. We'll push toward day 11. Day 10 is generally my target day to have that first ride done. It can be day 8, could be day 15. It's all up to the horse, but in a perfect world, it'd be today. So we got just a bit of a little rain shower going right now. It's not the end of the world. It's not going to stop us from working. If it really picks up, if the rain really picks up, we may set this down for a little while and pick it back up later. But I just want to make sure that Gypsy understands, or that she remembers the code, which obviously she does. And you can see she's got quite a bit more forward motion than she did when we first got started. But she's also got a lot more confidence. Okay. So I want to make sure that she's good with all that stuff. All right, we're going to continue on with that stuff as we go. Want to make sure we stick to our five principles for effective horsemanship. Start quiet, end quiet, get the fresh off, find the resistance, be willing to compromise. I kind of came in here right off the bat. I'm going to check myself, okay, because I kind of came in here with a mission on my mind and sort of an agenda, and I'm just going to back up and forget about that and just check, see where Gypsy is, and make sure that I do in fact start quiet. Okay. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you come in here and you're like, man, I got a job to do. I better get after it and get it done. But horses don't always respond very well to that. So just make sure you back it up and have a little empathy for where they are. Empathy or sympathy, I'm not exactly sure which one's the right word there, but show them some love. Show them a little affection. Let them know this isn't a bad place to be. So I'm going to go ahead, move her out. Going to work on this bad side. See if we can find a lope here. There we go. Since I'm looking to get a ride out of her today, I want to really make sure that there's very little, if any, fresh left in her. I really want her thinking. We definitely want to make sure all that stuff gets out of there, right? She's feeling juicy this morning. That's okay, I'm feeling juicy too. You got to come to work every morning with your juice. Don't leave the juice at the house. Bring it to work. Whoop. Generally, Gypsy just doesn't go around here like a maniac. We've had plenty of horses before that just kind of go around and they're just in panic mode, you know, and you've really got to kind of let them work through that and come back down to earth. But Gypsy doesn't really get into panic mode so far, anyway. I've spooked her a couple of times with a couple of things, but for the most part, she's pretty level-headed. She just wants to get along. See if I can get her to stay hooked while moving forward. I was telling you guys yesterday, that's what I look for, like right there. You know, now she get distracted by turtle. Uh-oh. This round pin's not ideal yet. We've got some boards coming. We're gonna make it a solid wall here before long. You can do this in a panel pin, it's no big deal. You just really need to make sure that your panels are fixed to the ground nice and solid. There's no sharp edges and that it's nice and safe. Boy, she's just sticking that tongue out of her mouth, really wanting to get along right there, so I'm gonna let her come in the middle. Come and get a little love. Good girl. Good girl. She really wants to avoid me being on that other side. So we're gonna try to spend a little extra time over here. You get all this resistance out of them, okay? And it's just gonna make for a much better riding experience. As much resistance as you can get out on the ground, go ahead and do it. It's not about just getting that first ride. Everybody thinks that starting colts is just, oh, got to get that first ride, get the buck out of them, just ride the buck out of them, Boatwright. That's what I've been hearing my whole career. But guys, believe me, if you want a solid citizen, when you leave this round pen, you make sure that you get as much resistance out as you possibly can. It's not about the ride. There's been way too much emphasis been put on that. Nobody wants to get bucked off, myself included, okay? So just finding a bronc peeler to get that first ride done on your horse isn't the answer. Find somebody that can, if you can't do it yourself, find somebody that can do all this groundwork and stuff and ride out a storm. So she's really avoiding me on this side. You see she's got her nose tipped to the outside. This is what I was talking about yesterday. I just see a lot of people just wanting to run their horses around, and their horses going around with their nose on the outside of the pen. And I'm going to show you what to look for when you're encountering that. Don't ignore that, okay? That horse is avoiding you. They're showing you resistance. So just push right here. Keep yourself prepared, like right there. Keep yourself prepared to release that pressure when they get hooked onto you. All right, that's where the posture comes in. Now I'm gonna come straight to this side. You see she's blocking me from going to her offside right there. You see how she's tipping her head? She's angled her body so that she can avoid, so that she can block me from getting over there. I'm just gonna put my flag right here. There. She'll let me come over here, but it's not her preference. All right, see that? Good girl, good girl. I'm gonna stay right here for just a minute and love on her on this side. Good girl. Come in close and touch them, you know. Spend some time right here if you can. I'm gonna be the first to admit to you that I don't spend enough time in here loving on these colts. They respond to it, just like people do. I'm gonna go ahead and send her off that direction again. She's trying to block me with her nose. There. She took the wrong lead right there. That tells me where her mind is. You got to get the forward motion off the cluck and smooch. You can't rely on the flag. The flag's just an aid. There. Because when I get on her back, I'm not going to be able to use the flag. At least not at first. See how she just wants to avoid that side? I want her to travel around this side nice and soft, not just come into me and avoid the pressure. Okay? When she does, I'll let her quit. That's my resistance, right? That's principle number 3, find the resistance. See how she's going around with her nose to the outside of the pen? That's breaking the code. Her tail is closer to me than her nose, and so she's gonna have to move those feet. There, that's really good right there. Now she made about a quarter of a trip around the pen right there with her nose in. Let's see if we can get a little mouth action right there. She had her jaw, oh yeah, her tongue's coming out of her mouth right there. That's really good, really good. All right, moving right along, let's go ahead and get our snaffle rig on her. Now for this ride, I'm not gonna ride her in this snaffle bit. I'm gonna swap to one that has a loop rein on it. But for this groundwork, we'll go ahead and use this rig. I'm not going to ask her to open her mouth until she relaxes to that, okay? When she does, I'm just going to quietly ask her to open that mouth. There. Nice and easy. I like that. Boy, that's a nice reach and jog or trot. She's not really pulling on me too much. She's kind of out there at the end of the rope, but she's staying soft. Nice, really nice. Now this little ground work exercise right here, where we just send them around, stop them, send them back around the other direction, that's a skill that she's got now, okay? I can use that skill for anything that's an undesirable behavior from the ground. Like If she wants to stand there and paw and dig holes, I can come back and I can use this, right, to put her to work, put her mind to work. And then I can go and tie her back up and let her be nice and quiet, you know, and we can discourage that behavior. That's why I like to teach them a lot of this stuff. It's not just using it, it's not using fear to get it done, it's teaching it to them so that they have a skill that you can use, well, to use against them later on. It's not really against them, but you're going to use it as a tool to just discourage that bad behavior. So. Found a little resistance right there. That's good. Let's hustle her again. All right, now let's change direction. This filly's got a deep gas tank. I'm not going to fool myself into thinking that I'm going to completely get to the bottom of her here in just a couple of minutes, because that ain't going to happen. All right, I've messed with this kind of horse my whole career, and I know what's in there. I know she could probably go all day if I wanted her to. The idea is to get through to their mind, not to run them into the ground, right? It'd take me a long time to get this filly into the ground. You see that little sneeze right there and that snatch of her head? That's all resistance. I'm just gonna be nice and quiet. Ask for what I'm asking for. And when it's all nice and smooth and relaxed, then we can start going on to something else. Draw her down, change directions. Ask for some hustle. Draw her down, change directions, ask for some hustle. Okay. Draw her down, change directions, ask for the hustle. She's got her nose tipped to the outside. She's looking to the outside. She's not paying attention to me. That's why she misses that stop, okay? So we'll just keep going. I'll let her go and then I'll draw her back in, all right? She's getting kind of heavy out there, so I'm going to send her, draw her back. Send her, draw her back. Send her, draw her back. She's a little bit softer right there. Not exactly where I want her yet. She's kind of distracted by turtle. She's a lot softer going this way now. She's still kind of looking to the outside, but she's keeping her head straight. She was going to turn her rear end to me right there, and I caught her. Going to shorten her up just a hair here. I want to show her that she doesn't need to be out there to the outside of the pen. She can stay right here. It's a lot less work to stay in here. Don't hold them if they're leaning on you. Pull that head back in or change directions, one of the two. You know, like send them and draw them back in, but don't hold them. They'll just get heavier and heavier and heavier, believe me. That's pretty nice right there. And let her change directions right there. She just kind of goes out there and bounces off the end of that lead rope. There, I'm gonna let her take a break right there. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. I feel like she's a little juicy this morning. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flank her a little bit, see where she is on that front, see if she can handle the pressure. Always a good idea to see how bronchi they're feeling before you ride them. I didn't like the way that loop laid, so I'm going to throw it again. Good opportunity to kind of show her what that's all about. Just remind her. I got it hung on my stirrup. Well, doggone it. My rope's wanting to figure 8 on me, so get that straightened out. Now remember, you don't have to use a lariat rope for this. You can just take a nice soft piece of rope and fish it around. All right, much better. That's what I want right there. Now watch, she's gonna step over that, hopefully. One more time, darling. Keep going. There we go. All right. She just wants to kind of get in my face and say, hey, I don't want to go anywhere. There we go. And just let that grab her. Okay. That's good right there. That's really good. You don't want to shock them with it, and you don't want to hurt them with it. You just want them to accept it, okay? If you just come in here and, rah, and try to get them to buck, believe me, you're going to train them to buck. You don't want to do that, all right? Now she keeps going back to the outside, so I let her run into that thing. Nothing's changed. All right, so I'm pretty well satisfied that she's going to accept that. Doesn't mean that she's going to accept me without trying to throw me over the fence, but that's going to help for sure. See a little resistance right there, so stay there till she relaxes to that. All that suits me pretty good. So let's work on a little bit of what we were doing yesterday. I like to do this part in my lead rope because it's just easier. I've got a tool there to use to get her, you know, mind prepared to be mounted. So if I'm in the snaffle bit rig, all I've got to loop rein. And I can use a neck rope, and I'm going to, but I like this rope better for doing this stuff. See, she looks away. So I'm going to move her rear end back around to where I want it. So I had a filly years ago. She's a Hancock bred filly too. We used to start all of our colts in these little 10 by 10. We called them Burris traps. I don't really know why, but they were 10 by 10 steel trap. And we'd put them in there. And we'd saddle them and mount them and everything in there for the first time instead of in a round pen. This was almost, well, it was 25 years ago or so. But I had this one filly that would, every time I go to get on her, she'd start spinning to the right. And so one time she threw me into the panels, and she didn't hurt me, but she dang sure could have, okay? So I try to get a little bit of softness, a little bit of control over them before I do it. Now, there you go, darling. That's what I want right there. Good girl. Before I get up here, because if they go to spinning to the right, it was hard to break that filly of that. It was really hard. There. Remember, don't try to cram it all on them at one time. Just address the resistance as it comes up, and then reward them for overcoming it. Now I'm going to ask her to bend over here, and I'm going to brush her and pet her and tell her, good girl, good girl, good girl. Just stay right here until she stops moving, and then we'll leave. Bend her around over here. Tell her good girl. Okay. Now I don't want to just hold her head this way, okay? It'd be foolish for me to try to get on her while I've got her bent like this. Why? Because when she does go straight and she sees this leg over here, it's going to take her by surprise. All right, I don't want to do that. I want to make sure, I do want to make sure that I've got control over that face and that it's soft. But I don't want to hold it there and then shock her when she sees something on the other side there. So I'll show you how we'll do that. All right, so I'm going to get right here this time and I'm going to push her head around there so she can see all that. See how I do that? Now I'm not going to shock her, but I do have this softness right here. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. All right. I'm just gonna, I got my knee. There, good girl. In her shoulder. Okay. Get a hold of this night latch, by the way. I tied myself a night latch to my saddle this morning. Bend her over here, show her all that. All right, bounce right here. Good girl, good girl. See how I can check her right there? It's really good. Good girl. Good girl. Good job, darling. Good job. I'm going to pause right here for a minute. There. That's what I want. Mouth action. Okay? She's blinking. She's licking and chewing. Her ears are kind of out flat a little bit. That tells me that she's pretty relaxed. Oh, that's a good girl. That's a good girl. Good girl. Now she's a little bit boogered by that, so I'll just stay there until she relaxes to it. Good girl, darling. Good girl. Yeah. There you go, sweetheart. I'm going to swap eyes with her a couple of times. Okay. These eyes are everything, guys, when you're doing this, okay? Because what's going to spook her, as long as you don't drive a spur into her guts, the thing that's going to spook her is her seeing you up there in her periphery, right? So work on these eyes a lot. You see me getting all these rocks out of here. We put a bunch of sand in here the other day that's dang full of rocks. Not the ideal substrate for a round pen that you're going to be busting broncs in. Remember, we're just telling her stories about all this stuff that's going to happen, right? That's a good girl. That was good. That was real good. Good girl. Good girl. All right. Now let's try something else. Make sure you touch her back here on the rump when you do all this, because you know dang well sooner or later your leg is going to drag across their rump, and that'll start a bronc fight about as quick as anything. I'm spending a little extra time on this filly with all this stuff more than I normally do, because she seems a little more bothered by it than most of the horses I mess with. All right. But she's looking at me out of that eye. I'm gonna just sort of flag my arm out there. I'm gonna get up here so she can see me up here out of both eyes. Good girl. Then I'm gonna lead her off and let's swap eyes on this side. She's getting real relaxed, all that stuff. Let me go ahead and give her a breather right here. Okay. That saddle might be getting a little tight and restrictive for her, so I just give her a little breath. All right, so there, we broke that ice. Good girl, good girl. The mounting and unmounting is huge, guys. Don't overlook the importance of this. All right, don't overlook the importance of getting your horse relaxed while you mount and unmount. Good girl, good girl. Mount and dismount, I should say. It's not unmount. I feel pretty good about that. So I'm just gonna gather all that stuff up, see what we can do. There, she took a step. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. She feels pretty tight. That's okay. See, we'll stop right there. And then we'll untrack those feet. Come on. Untrack those feet, all right? Whoop. I didn't do my yoga this morning. Of course, that's a joke. Y'all know I don't do yoga. Yoga's for millennials. We Gen Xers just get out of bed, swallow a bunch of black coffee, and crawl on our broncs. Good girl, good girl. Make sure you touch them back here on the rear end. I just want one step. All right, so she's kind of got her feet stuck. So I don't want to go to spanking her and stuff yet. I just want to remind her what that cluck and smooch means. There. Gosh, if she just walk off with me like that, sitting on her back, I'd be real happy. I want to smooth that up right there before we go any farther. Gosh, I just like the way she's turning around. All that stuff looks outstanding. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. All right. I'll tell you what, one thing I hadn't considered, I got all this stuff sticking in the round pin here. Let's get it to the outside so we don't hang a foot in it. Come on, filly. There we go. There we go. Good girl. Good girl. I just touched her with my spurs, and I know a lot of you guys don't want to ride colts for the first time in spurs. You know, I just do. You don't have to, but I've learned how to use mine, hopefully, to stay out of my horse's way. There. Now I just felt a little bit of life come up into her feet. And when I felt that life come up, I just quit asking before she even took the step. There. That's what we want right there, guys. Hey, that's the first ride right there. Right? We can quit right now and everything will be just fine. Gonna push just a little bit farther. Getting some mouth action out of her. I like to look at that. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Oh yeah. Good girl. Guys, listen, we don't have to take it any farther than that, okay? This is day 10, ride number 1. It went off without a hitch. I don't have to get a walk, trot, and a lope on the first ride. You just don't, okay? You got to know the beginning from the end. I know that by day 20, this filly will be doing everything that I want her to do in this round pen. So we're just going to leave her in a good mood right there. Everything was a success. We didn't scare her too much. She's nice and relaxed. Let's call it a day.